Hello, my good people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Glad and excited to be back. My good name is Latez. I'm LatezNjagi. If you're new to this place, you're so much welcome. If it's the first time you're getting to come across our YouTube channel, looking at Life with Latez, you're so much welcome. Feel you're in the right place. This is a place we come talk. It's a place we come have conversation. It's a place we come learn. It's a place we come share life experiences. And one time and another, we get to share our life, fun things, vlogs, and all that kind of things. So you are so much welcome. Come watch our videos, come like our videos, and most of all, subscribe to this channel. And for my subscribers, for who have made this home, thank you so much for the support, and thank you so much for helping us get to this extent. And you have come here for a talk. If you ever see me seated, relaxing, I'm just here for some talk. I'm just here for some conversation. I'm just here to get to look at an issue and air out my thoughts, my views, and maybe get to help one person or another. And today we are here for spiritual matters. And as I was getting to interact with most of you, I got to realize that there are some of you guys who follow me just to get things spiritual and all that. And I'll try as much as possible to ensure that within some time in another, I'll be coming with a spiritual nourishment video so that we can get to have a balanced life. I said that if there's one thing that is ever good with a human's life, is having a balanced life. As much as you're really looking forward to working hard, having money, pursuing careers, having nice families, let us also ensure that we are giving God a praise in our lives. And in that matter, you know, when it comes to spiritual matters, I don't joke. I really take serious anything to do God and all that, because in one or another, I know of God's existence. I know God exists. And I know it's by Him that we are. I don't know whether you have ever kept quiet and asked yourself that if it weren't for God, where could you be? Have you ever reflected of the doings of God on your life? And before we get to all that, today we are talking about fasting. Today we are talking about prayers. Before we continue with so many other things, today we are here to talk about fasting. We are here to talk about prayers. Because the kind of fasting that you're talking about, it's fasting to pray, fasting to seek God, fasting to intercede, fasting to stand in the gap. And before I even get to many aspects of fasting and all that, I know each and every one of us have ever gotten to fast, maybe gotten to hear teachings about fasting, gotten to be in a church setup where people are fasting, especially in this month of January. We get the many different churches that I've gotten to attend, they are always fasting sessions, especially when the year is beginning. And you always hear, maybe as the year starts, our fasting will be beginning on a certain date, we'll be breaking our fast on a certain date, and all that kind of things. I don't know whether you join up in those fasts in your church, in your churches. There are some who do and there are some who don't. And I always say that fasting is something that is very key. As much as prayers is key and it's important, fasting is all the same key and it's very important. And fasting is just denying yourself food and drinks or maybe comfort to seek God. You fail to eat food, you fail to drink something, you fail to be in your comfort and like commit that time to God, to seeking God, to praying, to reading His word and all that. Fasting is all about that. And there are a lot of many misconceptions that people really give about fasting. And especially in the recent days, there was an ongoing story of a certain lady who went to a certain cave somewhere and she got killed up in the cave and all that. And we were seeing people being chased away from the cave, people who had gone there to pray, and all those kind of things. And there are things that God me wondering, there are things that got my attention, and I was like, I need to address this issue. And I was like, I think this is something that we really need to discuss together. You know, even when we get to read in the Bible, fasting was there even in the early days. Maybe going to caves to pray was there even in those olden days. It was something that was there. And the reason why people used to go to pray to in those caves and those hidden places is to have some privacy. That is the only reason why people used to go to pray in those places, to go and seek some privacy. When we get to read of story of someone like Elijah, when things became tough and everyone was just against him and he had been told that he'll be killed, we see him running away to the caves, a place where he went hid, and he was seeking God when he was there. So caves were meant as sacred places where people used to go. You like hide and go and pray to God. And I know, and I got to read most of the comments that I could see people comment in those videos. And at times when you want to get to the detail of things, go to the comment section. You get to hear of how people are talking and how people are retaliating to the video and to other people's SMS and all that. And there's a lot of things that I got to capture in my mind was people at times are not that much informed when it comes to fasting and where at time you need to be praying and all that. And one thing that we can get to agree is, as time goes by, there are some of the traits that we used to do those early days that we must get to live. Because I don't know, I don't think that I should lose my life just because I was somewhere praying, somewhere where in one or another it isn't safe. Because as I was getting to look on how that place looks like, the cave and all that, it's a place where it's open, there's no security and all that. And I would see women who just spend their nights there. And I would see women who are like there for days and they're like, they are seeking the face of God. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think times are changing. Times are really changing. Earlier days, it was okay. But I think as times are changing, we must admit that not all kind of places where we can just go, even when it's in the night, spending time there, and we still say that, we are fasting, we are praying. It may be okay, but even the Bible tells us that it's good to be wise. And God loves wisdom. And one thing about God, He loves people who are wise. It's good to be born again. It's good to believe in God. It's good to fast. It's good to pray. It's good to believe in prayers. It's good to be committed to God. But it's not good to be foolish at all, at all. It's not good to be a fool. It's not good at times to be so brainwashed in your mind that at times you're not even thinking. And as we get to hear of stories like even what was happening in Shakahora and all that, it's because it's someone who has believed, someone who has faith and all that, to a point that you've been brainwashed, to a point that your faith and your religion and all that has made you even like a fool or something. Like there's a sense in you that at times it does not operate just because you're so focused at its God, you're so focused its prayers and all that. And that's why you're losing it. Because we are at times that things are changing. Things are really changing. If you get to listen to the stories of our grandmothers and how they used to do their things, when I listen to my grandmother and I just sit down and like start doing some of the things they used to do, I'll lose it. Because that is a time that has changed. Going to caves on those times, it was okay because there's no one who would have ever thought to go and harm people who are praying in a cave. But in the times we are at right now, there's nothing that will hinder someone with his bad motives and his evil mind to go to a cave, get women praying there, harm them, or do anything bad. Because times have changed. We are in times that things are not safe. But one thing that I believe is there are very nice places and very secure places for praying. Yes, we must move with change. As things are advancing, we must get to advance with them. Nowadays, we have prayer centers. Yes, someone may say that at times prayer centers are expensive, but myself, I've gotten to visit several prayer centers, and I can't say that prayer centers are expensive. Yes, they aren't that expensive. Because these prayer centers, one thing, they are giving you an opportunity to access. You know, in prayer center, there are caves also. There are places where you can just go hide, spend the entire day praying, and no one will get to notice maybe you were there and all that. There are very large spaces that have been left for people to just go pray. And one thing with these places have security. The place is well guarded. Most of these prayer centers nowadays, they have accommodation, a place where you can go pay maybe 200, 300, and you get a bed where you can lay at night. Or maybe even get some literal, like there's washroom and all that. You can get, even if you don't want to sleep, there's a place where you can go freshen up, and maybe the other day you continue with your prayers and all that. I think we must keep on advancing of these things. Because as much as, yes, we are praying and all that, we need to be wise, we need to be advanced. Let's not at times stint Christianity with poverty. Because I was getting to see of people commenting, and why do these people look poor? You can't get someone who has parked a Range Rover and go to pray in such a place. We are tinting Christianity with a lot of poverty. And that is a narrative that needs to get out of us. If at all I want to pray, why can't I pack my bag? I pack my clothes and I'm like, I'm fasting for how many days? I'm fasting for 5 days. I start my journey, go to a certain prayer center. Like myself, I've visited 7 prayer centers. A place like Katoroni. Katoroni is not a quite a distance from Nairobi. It's not so far away. I've visited places like Heaven's Gate. Heaven's Gate is a perfect prayer center actually. If at all you're really looking for a perfect place where you can go pray and get the breakthrough of God, Heaven's Gate is one place where I can say, this is a place where I started going with when I was a young girl in campus. I got to learn the aspect of fasting when I was still that young. And places like Mizpah, there is a prayer center by the name Mizpah. And this is also another prayer mountain or another prayer center that I can really say it's a good place. That place has good caves. If at all you are a person who loves caves, go to Mizpah. Mizpah is in Nakuru. Mizpah is a really very good prayer center. It has really nice caves. If you are a lover of caves, a place you can just go and enter and pray there, and maybe it's a nice place. So I think these are these caves we are looking for. These mountains you want to go and hide at the rocks and behind rocks and all that. These are things that we can get in prayer center. There are even prayer centers that at times have facilities. You can go spend the entire day and leave in the evening. Maybe you come tomorrow morning, and that place is guarded. That place has some security, because that is all we are after. You don't need to be praying, and you are also exposing your life to danger. Because even in these issues of the issues of Shakahara and all that, that was something that at times was even disgusting. You get to wonder, how do you believe in God? And then you expose your life to all this kind of, it was very demeaning actually. You're making Christianity look so low. You're making Christianity look very, very poor. And it's not good. Yes, at times you may not have the money to go to prayer center. But one thing I always say is that if you're committed to something, you can get that money. If at all a prayer center, maybe they are charging 200 per night, you can purpose, I'll go for prayer, I'll go for fasting maybe in the month of June or in the month of May, and you save up for that amount. Maybe you need 2,000 and maybe transport and all that. You allege yourself on how you can look for something that is accessible. You look for a venue that is accessible, a place where you are safe, a place where you can be able to pray well, a place where there is guidance and all that. Because we need to have order as Christians. It wasn't appearing well with me, because I would hear people who are really tarnishing the thing of fasting and praying, and it's not good, but it's because that's how we are looking, you are making it look. But if at all you can go to these prayer centers and you get to look at the parking yard of those places, there are people there who have money, people who have good cars, people who have good lives, pastors of very big churches, and they are there fasting. So that's the picture we should have as Christians, that even with our blessings and all that, we praying. Prayers and fasting should not be like a thing that is set to be for poor people and all that. And I think it doesn't appear so well. So as much as yes, we fasting, we're praying, let's also be very vigilant on the kind of venues you're choosing to go and hold our fasting and all that. That is something I was feeling like it doesn't appear so well, because you always hear of issues of places where they are very open places where people go to pray. You get to realize even in the, not just even around Nairobi, I think the issue was in Kiabu and all that. Even there, in our home places, Uko up country, there are places where people go to pray, and I'm like, even if you believe in God, don't expose yourself to danger. Yes. Don't go in a place where there is no guidance. Don't go in a place where there is no security. Ensure that as much as you pray, you're also safe. Yes, we are born again, but we are not foolish. We are born again, but we need to be wise. God hates fools. One thing that we get to read in the Bible is that God does not like fools. So let's be wise. Let's be wise. And also, this kind of wisdom also comes with the most people who got to die in Shakahora were out of this fasting thing. You were fasting, I don't know for how many days, you for 40 days to get to see Jesus. This is something that you have been told by someone. You didn't go to the Bible and read it somewhere. You didn't like get a revelation from God. We must learn to have our own God. Don't go and listen to a pastor who said this, and this. You know, one thing, our God is sovereign and he is just accessible to all of us in the same way. So if God does not minister to me and has told me that if I fast for 40 days, I'll get to see heaven, why should a man of God stand somewhere, tell me that, you know, I should fast for these days, I should give out my property, I don't know to who, I don't know do what, and I believe. You know, as Christians, we need to be woke in our minds. We have to be very vigilant. It's good to follow God. It's good to believe in a denomination. It's good to believe in a man of God. It's good to have faith and all that. But above everything, it's good to be wise. It's good to be wise. Wisdom is something that at times we don't get to learn from books. It's not something at times that we get to go to school and get to have it. But it's something that you even ask God to give you. We have to be wise. We have to be wise, because people are really getting brainwashed. People are really getting into cults. People are really dying in the name of religion. People are really dying in the name of I was fasting. And I don't think this should be happening. You have a Bible. A Bible is our guidance as Christians. The Bible is what we get to follow. Why believe in someone just because he told you this, and this? He is in God. Let us have this desire of at times getting also to pray ourselves and get to hear what these other people are hearing from this God. Because God is not a God of a respecter of man, that he respects people who look like this and he respects people who look like this. No. The same way he speaks to a pastor, the same way he speaks to this man of God that you believe so much, it's the same way that he can speak to you. So let's get this desire of also having belief of our own God. I'm one person who really believe on my God. I don't want to believe on a God who people refer to or all that. I want to have my God, I personally. So that when I go to pray, I go to pray to my God. When I'm asking for something, I'm asking for something from my God. And this is something that will help us not to be brainwashed. That will help us not to get into cults and all those kind of lies that at times people are using in the name of church. Let's minimize this issue of Christianity being tainted badly. Christianity being seen as poverty and all that. That's why you always see at times when you get well, when at times your things are going on well and all that, people will not be quick to say that God has done. People are always quick to say on other things that have happened. Just because Christianity is being seen as a poor thing, like you cannot prosper when you believe in God, that when you have faith in God, your things cannot just walk, cannot go on well. And we need to start by ourselves. We need to start changing it by ourselves. How we keep ourselves as Christians, as believers, how do we keep ourselves? And it will start by us. We are the ones who describe how the world will take us to be. If we look poor to them, that's what they'll see us. But when we create discipline in us, when we create that respect within ourselves, and you're like, as a Christian, I need to do this. As a Christian, I need to have this. Because one thing I always say, the Bible tells us that gold and silver belongs to God. And the Bible tells us that our God owns 1,000 cattle in 1,000 hills. Our God is so rich. Our God has a lot of things. And I don't know why I can believe in this God. God is so full of all things. The Bible tells us that his storehouses are full. Full for who? For us, his children. Let us Christians be an example to the world that believing in God has fruits. Believing in God, it gives. At times, we are really tainting salvation and believing God, Christianity, with a very bad picture and all that. And before I forget, we had come here to talk about fasting. You know, one thing I keep on telling you is that I'm one person who can talk until I don't know when. But to start with, we said that fasting is denial of food and all that. We said that if at all you want to pray and fast, you can pray and fast in your house. You can look for a church where you can go spend time there, a place that is safe. Safety comes first. As much as you're looking forward to praying and fasting, let safety be our number one consideration. Something else, we can also go to prayer centers. We can also go to pray anywhere, prayer mountain and all that. Bola, that place is secure and safe. That's all we are after. And the teachings the teachings that you get to learn from these places are teachings that are godly. And by what I say godly is they align to God's commands and all that. Because nowadays people already have a lot of false teachings. And maybe there are different kinds of fasting, and there are different things that makes us fast. When you get to reading the Bible, we get to the best example we always have is the example of Jesus. How Jesus got to fast when he was in the wilderness. And that's why we get to read that immediately Jesus got out of the wilderness, Satan came to tempt him. And even he conquered the temptation because in one way or another, he was out of fasting and he was so strong to conquer the temptation. What are the different types of fasting that we have? One, we have the Daniel fast. When we get to read about the story of Daniel and all that, there are times that Daniel used to fast, and the kind of fast he used to do is that he used to deny himself the precious and the pleasurable foods that he used to be served from the king's place and all that. So you can do a Daniel fast. Daniel fast is denying yourself the kind of foods that you love so much. Like there's something that we used to do when we were in high school. Actually, I started fasting when I was in high school. And it's so good to start some of these things when you're young. I used to talk with friends about fasting in high school, and someone would be like, how do you fast in high school? That one calculate that. And actually, we used to look for those days that we know during lunchtime we are getting to eat one of our favorite meals, and mostly it was Tuesdays. And we used to plan fasting on that day, so that you fast and you feel that also yourself you're fasting. There's that meal that you love so much, and now you are foregoing it, and you're secure in that time. You denying yourself, you're secure in that time to just pray. And that is the Daniel fast. Daniel fast is where you deny yourself the very pleasurable food, the very food that you like eat every day. You deny yourself that food, and you say, other than eating this food, I'll deny myself. And during that duration, during that time, I'll get to focus on maybe praying and committing something to God. That is the Daniel fast. We have the partial fast. Partial fast is where maybe you do like 6 to 6 fasts. You fast from morning and you get to eat maybe after 6. You fasting for a certain duration of time, and maybe after 6 you're gonna get to take your dinner and all that. That is also another type of fast that is called the partial fast. We also have the 40 days fast. The 40 days fast is usually there to represent these long fast. You can have 21, you can have 7 days, but these are times that you purpose completely, you're not eating anything or drinking anything for these days. People actually really fast. I've seen people fast for 40 days. I've seen people fast for 21 days. I've seen people fast for 10 days, for 7 days. People really fast actually. And you get to realize these things when you go and visit a prayer center. You get to hear of someone telling you that, I came here at a certain date, and you like, at times you feel challenged. People are really praying, people are really fasting, people are really seeking God. So that is the other type of fasting that we have. We also have the liquid fast. Liquid fast is where you like fast the hard foods or the hard meals, and maybe you're free to take maybe some water, maybe some juice, maybe some beverage like tea and all that. Fasting just for the meals, but you can be able to take some liquids and all that. And also there's also fast from social media. Yeah, you just purpose that for a certain week, I'll not be on WhatsApp, I'll not be on Facebook, I'll not open my YouTube. Yeah, a social media fast, a place where you fast from using all electronics, and you really purpose that the free time that you have is just for God. There's also even fasting where you fast having sex. Yeah, maybe you married couple, you will like purpose on this week, we are purposing on God. We deny ourselves sex and we purpose to just pray. Those are some of the things some of the fasts that we get to have each now and then. And we will choose various fasts differently according to the prayer items that you have, according to the need that you have, according to the task that you have. You're the one who is always free to choose the kind of prayer, to choose the kind of fast that you want. And now, what are the benefits of fasting? Why would I sit here and tell someone to fast? Why would I encourage someone to fast? Why would I say that prayer is not enough? You can add fasting. One thing about someone that I can say fasting is good, because I've seen it work for me. I've chosen time, I have purpose to go for fasting for 4 or 5 days, and I've seen something, a benefit has been answered. One thing, fasting, it's like it pushes you prayer, because this is a time where you denying yourself, especially purposing to get out of, here you are getting out of your comfort zone. That is maybe your home place. You get out of your family members, the people who you get to interact with. Maybe you're out of your workplace. You just purposely somewhere to pray, to read the word, to listen to sermons and scriptures, to worship, to praise God. Just that. You can imagine a day, 2, 3, doing nothing else, just concentrating on God, getting to listen of His word, getting to worship. You can imagine how fulfilling it gets to be. You can imagine how you get from glory to glory, how at times you get to enter into the different realms. You get to worship God and you feel fulfilled, and you get to interact. The Spirit gets to read you, the Spirit gets to teach you, you get to see visions. And there are a lot of things that comes at times with fasting when you purpose that for a certain duration I will not focus on anything else. I'm one person who used to go to prayer center, and at times it's good to have even this trait. When you're in that prayer center, put your phone off. You have informed the special friends and maybe family members that, at a certain duration, in case you call me and you get that I'm off, I'll be in the prayer center. So you go switch off your phone, then you focus is just God, 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 and God only. So if at all you have a prayer item that you feel maybe you have prayed for so long and you feel like it's taking too long, push it with some fasting. Fasting at times it's said so casually, and people at times really normalize fasting. But when you purpose, you're sacrificing your time, you're sacrificing your finances, you're sacrificing your comfort just to go and seek God. Because it's never in vain. I'm one person who always believes that it's never in vain. Spending a minute or two in the presence of God, it's never in vain. So, what are the benefits of fasting? One and foremost, I can say, it helps us to conquer temptations. Just as we see the example of Jesus, you cannot be in prayers, you cannot be in fasting, and at times you are unable to conquer some of the life temptations. So, if there's something that you feel is really weighing you down, you feel like, it's becoming too hard. Maybe it's maybe something like what? Maybe it's something like addiction and all that. You felt that this is something you have tried to fight, you've tried to avoid. It's becoming now a lock. It's becoming now a lock in your life. Commit it to God. Go for fasting. Yeah. Especially for if you're ever addicted with something and you want to leave it, try fasting. Try fasting. And you'll get to realize that some of these things, God deals with us slowly, slowly, and slowly. The Spirit will get to read you, the Spirit will get to direct you. And so that is one benefit. It helps us to conquer life's temptations, life challenges. You have confidence that God will do it. Something else that we can say is a benefit of fasting, it's getting to hear and getting to know the will of God. Have you ever been in a confusion about something? You are having two minds, you don't have a clear mind, you don't know what maybe God has you don't know the will of God upon the issue. Go for fasting. At times maybe you have prayed and you feel like you're still not getting it clearly. Purpose, go for fasting. Just plan to have a 2-3 days fasting. And if you go with the faith that, at times when you get into that prayer center, you even tell God the things that you want. If at all you want God to speak to you, He might not speak to you directly there. But I have ever witnessed a scenario where you go to a prayer center wanting to know about something, and God might not speak to you directly. He might speak to someone. Someone might call you, even maybe a week later or maybe days later, and get to tell you that I dreamt of this, and this. Someone might call you and tell you that I'm seeing you this, and this. At times, a scenario might happen in your life, and to get to answer something that you had so that you were so confused about. So at times, getting to fast is something that gets us to go to get to know the will of God. Because at times you can never hear God if at all you're not in prayers. God at times really talks to us, because we say prayers is communication with God. It's communion with God. So it's this time that you're communicating with God that you'll get to know some of the things that He is telling us to do. So it's another way of getting to know the will of God upon our lives. And also during fasting, it's a prayer where God prepares us for a task or something. Maybe there's something that you're planning to do at a certain given time, and you feel like you don't have the all it takes for the task. Maybe it's a task in God's vineyard. Maybe you're going for a mission somewhere. Maybe you are being called for God's service. Maybe at times you're preparing for a preaching. Maybe you'll be holding a seminar somewhere and you'll be getting to teach people about God's one and all that. At times prior, you get to go for fasting. You get to pray and commit the entire session before God and commit the entire task that you have before God. And it always comes out victorious. I could see even when we were in campus, we used to have days that we used to fasting and praying for mission. Anytime there was a mission that was coming, you get to have this time that you're before God. You praying for the same, you fasting for the same. And it's good at times. Because I always say that it's good to be well prepared, and it's good to be very ready when you're also going to maybe to speak God words, to preach and all that. You will avoid these scenarios of at times you get to see preachers in pulpits and people who are preaching, and when you will get to really listen to whatever they are saying, in one or another you feel the word has no God in it. So it's good to always involve God. Have some time of prayer, have some time of fast. You can say maybe if at all you'll be preaching on Sunday, you secure maybe a Friday or a Thursday, you just fast that day. Purposely to prepare the sermon of Sunday. Yeah, you get to see the difference. It works. Because God is never a respecter of man. Yes, and He really answers our prayers. What is another benefit of fasting? Another benefit of fasting is, when you're fasting, it looks like a sacrifice. And fasting is a sacrifice by itself. So it's like you're offering a sacrifice before God. And as we always know, God is always there to receive our sacrifices. And this is a sacrifice that you're offering with yourself. You're denying yourself, you're sacrificing all that maybe you could have eaten, you sacrificed not to eat. You could be comfortable somewhere in your bed. Maybe you're in a prayer center. At times the beds are full, you're sleeping, you just have like a mattress, you're sleeping on the floor. You are out. at night. At times you wake up very early when you're in the prayer center by 3 a.m. and all that. You're there out praying and all that. This is a sacrifice. Yeah, and God sees these sacrifices, and in one or another, it might not be instant, but He'll get to reward you for those sacrifices. So it's a time of sacrificing to God, and you cannot sacrifice to God and you get out unrewarded. And also, something else that we can say is a benefit of fasting is you get a time to humble yourself before God. There's no way you'll be fasting. At times people think that fasting is easy. Hey, try to miss a meal or two. And now you know very well, at times you get to miss a meal, maybe because you had schedules that made you to miss that meal. Now you have purpose within your mind. You have purpose within your mind that I will not take breakfast. I will not take lunch. I will not take dinner. Tomorrow morning, I'm not taking breakfast. I will not take lunch tomorrow. And you think it's easy. Fasting is never easy. For anyone who have been into fasting, they know it's never easy. Especially for the first 2-3 days. It's usually the worst part of fasting. At times, fasting becomes sweeter when you get to the 4th day and the 5th day. Because now, you like body has gotten used to staying without food. But for the first 2 days, especially the second, third day, at times you feel weak. You cannot even be able to walk. You feel like you're losing it. But now you have that thing that you're focusing to. There's no you'll be that hungry and then you go before God with a lot of pride. No. It comes with a lot of harboring. Because one thing, your body is weak, you hungry, you feel like you have to be humble. It gives someone a chance to just be humble before God. It's humbling, and at times there's no way you can humble yourself before God, and that's what He's asking us to do and get to lack it all. You can't humble yourself before God and get out of that prayer session the same way. God will just bless you. God will get to answer your prayers, and God will get to reward you, or maybe get to give you whatever you wanted in that prayer session and all that. So this is a time where we get to humble ourselves before God. And also something else, it's a time where, and another benefit is, it's a time where we get to open the heavens. We get access to heaven. And as we're getting access to heaven, we like get to petition God to God. We like get to allow God we like get to give God's will to pass within our lives. Have you ever been to a worship time and you get to realize and you get to feel a mighty presence of God? These are times that you really give God access. You really give the Spirit access to come and just take control, take dominion. I'm just trying to imagine how at times it feels when you got presence, when you just there, you no longer you. Because you get deep into God until you get to forget yourself. I really miss times that I would like have an entire week and spend the time in a prayer center. Those times were heavenly. I really miss those times. And I'm really looking forward to having such times, because it's always the best. So you like have an access to heaven. You get to have access to God. You feel at times like you're communicating to God, heart to heart, person to person. These are things that at times you get to experience in fasting. I hear people say that I really want to know how God talks. I really want to know how God communicates to people. Have you tried fasting? Have you tried fasting? If you really want to hear God, try fasting. If at all in prayers alone, God has never spoken to you, this time around, try fasting. You can try even fasting in your home, especially if at all in your home you're always on your own. Because at times fasting does not like interruptions. Because you'll be in the house, people are eating, you feel tempted. In one or another, it's like, the reason why at times we go to prayer center, the reason why we go to secluded places is to avoid these temptations. For the times when I'm here fasting and people are eating and all that, it's like I will feel like I'm torturing myself. I feel like it's not like I'm praying. It's not, I'm not even happy in this prayer session and all that. But when you're in a prayer mountain where you not see anyone passing around with a plate of food, you not get to hear a smell of a food somewhere, you not get to even crave for anything, because you get to see nothing in the name food. You get to forget food, because this is a place where you not see someone eating and all that. That's why at times we like out there telling someone, if you want to have a successful prayer time and a successful fasting session, get to visit a prayer center or have a place where you're just you and yourself. No one is tempting you, no one is confusing you, no one is interrupting you and all that. And one thing that I can say, it's good to have these traits of praying, and not just praying but fasting. Yeah, and it starts with the process. You try with one meal, you try with 2 meals, you do a 6 to 6. You are like, oh, so I've done a day, so I've done 2, and the benefit is yours. The benefit is yours. This is something that I'll not fast and be in prayers and just we say God is never a respecter of man, and He is so just. He is so just. So let's develop this aspect of praying, of fasting, of visiting these prayer centers. And it might be hard now, but years to come, it will not be hard. And the last and foremost, most of people who have several plans and schedules of fasting within a year or so, you get to realize those people are physically fit. Because fasting is one thing that even at times when you get to get these people who get to advise someone about dieting and all that, at times they, if you're told you want to lose weight, you to some point you get to see fasting there. It's something that at times people uses to lose weight and all that. So if at all you fast, you have schedules of fasting each now and then, most of those people, you never get to see them with issues with their body misfit and all that. You always get to realize that they are fit, because you've trained your body to utilize the excess foods that are usually stored in the body and all that. So even if there's no other importance of fasting, you also have, even if you don't believe in anything else when it comes to fasting, you can also have that. And I think that's the 1, 2, 3 things I wanted to talk about fasting and prayers. And until next time, bye bye, love you.